The tradition of all dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brains of the living. And then it turns into a podcast called
Vanity Project.
It's a chart topper.
Vanity.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife Crisis.
Not midlife crisis, but midlife clarity.
They're arrogant.
Nice if you like.
Midlife clarity.
Menopause.
Oh, menopause?
Your little vanity
Yeah,
project.
I'm losing my edge.
It's a vanity project.
I stared into the abyss.
I'm losing my
A
edge.
cash grab vanity project.
That little vanity project.
It's tremendous. I love it.
It's just a vanity project.
Rossi boy, Russell Colossal.
How you doing, beautiful fairy princess?
I'm all right, Captain Handsome. I substacked. I'm not quite sure if I did it correctly. Well,
How do you know if you have substacked well?
I don't know. I've been all off the socials, but there's a Substack somewhere or another, otherwise vanityproject.skin. But enough of that. Coming up, Ross reviews the condition of being nice. Take it away, Bitsy.
They're lifting weights between visits to doctors. Shit wellness books and hot stones engulf them. Multiple Fitbits are strapped to their skin. And they've also got a podcast.
So we have been going to talk for probably a few episodes now about the idea of choosing the right music for workouts. That's right, isn't it, Helen?
And choosing silence. There's actually a wealth of research, which I've been told about because you've been looking at it. And not I, about when music of different BPMs, different genres for different lengths of time can assist your form or your cardio, whatever you're doing. And this is very, very important for we in midlife, i.e. those of us close to death.
Increasingly.
You actually did quite a lot of reading about it.
Oh, I've done a reasonable amount of reading, but we're going to put it off for another week, aren't we?
Yeah, because I don't want to talk about it yet. I haven't done any of the reading, and I want to talk about my health. I'm going to give you a little clue about my health. Here we go.
You're baking.
Yeah.
And you
look at this.
baking.
Look at this. My flatmate has a genuine Vegemite butter me up butter dish in the Vegemite colours. Are you jealous?
I'm a little bit jealous, yeah. It seems like something that my nana might have had, although my nana also had a little ceramic cow that if you lifted its tail, it pooped out cigarettes. So there was a lot of weird stuff in that house.
Die with lung cancer or just emphysema?
Oh, no, she just wandered out of the old person's home one day in her mid-90s, and I think after that, it didn't last long.
That's what Bitsy von Muffling said to me about your death, but it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different. It was like, you'll be in the Burmese jungle wearing a pith helmet.
All right, we're on track so far.
Living in a small-scale society. Then one day, after you impregnate 3 18-year-olds, you'll just wander off into the jungle and never be seen again at about 97.
Look, that doesn't actually sound too bad, right? It's a little bit Dr. Livingston, a little bit Henry Morgan Stanley. I can see that happening completely. It might not take me until that age. I think it could happen in my 60s.
It's also a little bit rock and roll, Donnie.
But it is.
The
Apart
reason
from the fact that you'd have to spend a lot of time living under mosquito tents.
The reason I've been baking bread, look at that. See, it's not, well, actually it's not great. My flatmate kindly called it Pane de casa, which I believe, if my very limited Latin is correct in any way, homebread. Homebread. I was going for fake sourdough. I used apple cider vinegar. The reason I've been doing that and freezing meals in advance and alphabetizing my spices is because I'm in self-imposed quarantine. I'm a Volquan, not in.
Okay. So you're staying completely inside the house at the moment? You're not even giving yourself like a 30-minute walk or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was suggested by this friend of mine called Ross, who said If your flatmate has a fucking cold, you are not fucking coming over here and ruining my all words to this effect. No, you didn't quite say that. I think I actually preempted that. Would you say that there is now I am one of a larger population group who's now a little bit more considerate about spreading their pathogens?
I think it's a declining population group, but it's larger than it was in 2019, definitely. I mean, I remember in 2020, I was working in a protected industry and we had to go to work for a while, and we had people who got COVID and came to work and came and sat in very small meeting rooms with us on important projects. And it was like, he knew he had COVID and came to work and knew that it was an essential industry, and it was just like, well, whatever, it's just the COVID. So there are still people around like that.
Flatty, are you there, Babs? Lola? Yeah, she's not coming out. So Lola was an essential worker during COVID. She works at Coles. She got spat on by people. You've met her, right?
Yes, I have.
Like an obscenely cheery fucking person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very, very much so.
But she's isolating now, and there's a selection of come here, darling, come here, come on, little one. This is my little flatmate. Can you just tell Ross a little bit? Sit down here. Sit down here.
Hi.
Sit down here on the chair. Isn't she pretty and small? No. Put your beautiful little mouth near the microphone. Come on, closer.
Hello, Ross.
How on earth are you, Lola?
I'm feeling better.
That's good to hear. I'm very glad to hear it.
No, I am isolating now because I'm a little bit under the weather, so I apologise.
That is completely fine. I think it's the right thing to do. So thank you for being so civic-minded.
COVID was very interesting during that time. I had no choice whether I wanted to work or not. I was essential, so I had to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, which happened to lots of people, right? There was a whole cadre or class of people who were told that it doesn't really matter if you're going to get sick, you're going to work.
Pretty much. We also, because we were one of the only places open, it felt like we were kind of psychologists to the world. And whoa, I'm getting sprayed with isopropyl too. But yeah, it was a distressing time for me personally. I know other people may not have been as affected, but because we were frontline, we had a lot of abuse, I could say. So, yeah, it was definitely a different time in comparison to a lot of the people that I know that didn't have to work, which had a whole different load of stresses on them. But being essential was not pleasant in a way. And I know a lot of medical staff and other essential workers as well. Some of them did have these issues because, like I said, we were one of the only places open and everybody's got to eat. So, yeah.
Yep. And everybody gets to go outside the house for a certain amount of time and they haven't spoken to anybody who isn't family or a flatmate.
Very much so. Yeah, that was my life, and I'm actually really happy that they can't isolate me unless I feel like isolating and helping my flatmate out and being sprayed with isopropyl. As strange as it sounds, I got PTSD from COVID, mainly because of the abuse, being kind of frontline worker.
Yep.
So it took me about 3 years to sort of recover and let that go, with the help of a wonderful psychologist who was actually local to the area and could actually see what was happening to us. So he was very kind and sort of said, there's something not quite right with you in regards to what's happened. So, yeah, my experience, the same as a lot of essential workers, is a little bit different to everybody else that got to isolate, although, like I said, I know that a lot of people had their problems in regards to isolation that affected a lot of people in different ways. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I infected your microphone.
But thank you so much. So you see what I wanted that story, right? It's a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I especially liked was at the end of it that you did spray some isopropyl alcohol on the microphone, which reminds me of the really, really early stages when nobody knew what was going on, and so you would get food delivered, and then you would kind of wash your apples and stuff like that in Windex and in whatever was available, right? Because you weren't meant to leave the house. I was probably doing mine in vodka just thinking about it.
Probably.
And then you would have groups of people kind of wandering the street in high vis somewhat obsessively polishing the pedestrian walk, don't walk buttons and anything that was kind of hand level. It was a bit of a wild time at the very start.
Yeah, the early intelligence that actually didn't come from Wuhan, but was a WHO directive. I don't know where they got their information from, was that what we all know, well, it's a coronavirus. It's a little sticky vampire Nosferatu, and like the common cold, it's stuck around on surfaces, and that was true. But, I mean, that was one of the great policy problems in Victoria during COVID, because there was such fixity on cleaning all surfaces that masks became secondary, largely because there was no supply.
Yeah, because we didn't have any.
Yeah.
But so now you're isolating, and how are you finding it?
Yeah, well, fine, just like COVID. COVID just sort of normalised me, despite the very sort of blanket statements at the time by your favourite pin-up boy, the former chief medical officer whose name we refuse to remember.
Professor Daddy.
Professor Daddy. There was just these blanket statements without recourse to saying, why, whether it would be by, actual material insecurity. Oh, this is going to be bad for people's mental health. There is in some of the literature, obviously the minor part, I form a sort of like a minor population group. I was a person pre-diagnosed with a mental illness who, because of being depressed, I wouldn't say that I thrived during COVID, but I certainly felt more comfortable that my unproductive, miserable, agoraphobic life was one shared by a great number of people.
I think there was a bunch of people who were like Burgess Meredith in the Twilight Zone episode Time Enough at Last. It's a classic Twilight Zone episode where Burgess Meredith just wants to read. He has to do his stupid bank job. He disappears into the bank vault at lunchtime to read. Then the city gets wiped out by a nuclear explosion. And he's like, this is fucking sweet. This is fantastic. This is the best thing ever. And then he breaks his glasses and then it ends. But there was heaps of people who were like that.
Yeah.
You got to be at home, do a lot of the things that they had never really thought that they would find some time to do. Collecting of things in Australia went off its head.
And now, like a young lady with hopes and dreams of a mint green Telecaster or even a copy. Forget it. Daddy lawyers have bought them all. I went into Manny's the other day to buy lovely Lola a ukulele because it was her 45th birthday, you see.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense.
And she has a Mahalo ukulele. She has agreed not to play it anywhere near me. But, among, I guess, perhaps our coterie, yes, you could say that there were heaps of people, because maybe we know a few people who are a little bit on the sad side, Ross. But their overwhelming reaction was one of decreased mental good health. And, I mean, what was the experience for you? We didn't really share a lot during COVID.
Look, I'm naturally very gregarious, and
are you what?
Yeah, I'm naturally incredibly gregarious. So I found it very, very tough, and I just buried myself in work while I had work, and then while I was unemployed, I buried myself in drinking a lot, and then I got another job and I buried myself in work. But I still found the lack of contact with people really hard.
Yeah.
Then at the end of it, I found myself really weird around people for a long time. It took me about 6 months to be kind of normal around people, like weirder than now.
You are an eccentric fellow, but you're able to do the normie quite quickly.
Yes,
I envy
very much
it.
so.
I envy it greatly. Another weird thing that happened to me during COVID was I found that a lot of people, because I had an experience with going into, the brain spa and whatever, like people who were really freaking out kindly decided, no, I mean, of course you have to reach out, blah, 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 and help. But, I got a lot of, I dealt with a lot of other people's suicidality is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the call basically goes like this. Hey, I remember that you've been nuts before. I think I'm going nuts. What's going to happen now? And you go, oh, all right. This is above my pay grade, but maybe, I don't know, talk to somebody. But that's the call. It's like, I know that And that's fine. I completely understand it. If I was buying a Porsche, I'd speak to somebody who had already bought a Porsche.
And the experience of social isolation is very much like being a Porsche owner.
Not enough.
Anyway, so far my isolation experience has been pleasant, and
it's good to see you've gone straight back into baking bread. That's some seriously 2020 stuff. That's great. It's at this stage, it's retro. I love it.
I know. So Rossi,
Helen, yes.
Colossal Russell,
Yes.
you know how you have told me that if I hear a thing and I like it, such as the transliteration from Mandarin to English of penguin is business goose,
That's right.
I should not try and seek out the truth.
That's absolutely right. You shouldn't. Don't destroy something that good with facts.
Yeah,
It's unnecessary. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would prefer to remain true, and it does no harm to anybody for me to keep believing them.
apocryphal quotes and stories. I'm joining the rest of the journalist population, basically, and not fact-checking fucking anything anymore.
Yeah.
Except with the US State Department.
Exactly. Like, I would like to think that Stalin said how many divisions has the Pope, but it doesn't matter if it was true. It's fucking baller thing to say.
Yeah. So I'm changing the nature of this segment that you don't like anyway. And it's called, I Know This Much Is True. Take it away, Bitsy.
They reckon this is true. They reckon this is true.
So what is the thing that you have discovered this week?
Well, there are so many great stories about Margaret Thatcher, and a lot of them were televised. For example, the Australian journalist, whom I quite liked, and in retrospect is not a piece of shit, George Negus from 60 Minutes. Do you remember
Yes.
the famous interview?
Yes, many people are saying this, and she was like, who? Name them.
Who are they and what are their names?
That's right.
I don't think she said, give me their addresses.
No, I've watched it. She does not say give me their addresses, but what are their names?
The true mother of neoliberalism incarnate. There are so many good stories about her, pure evil. None of them are in the biopic with Meryl Streep.
You never see her grabbing Christopher Hitchens on the arse. But he said that it happened, and I choose to believe that it's true.
Margaret Thatcher seriously?
Yes.
That's hilarious. Maybe it was to congratulate him for no longer being a trot.
Yeah, or maybe she just thought that he was smuggling a ham. I don't know.
But the real stories that played out in media, I think it was in an interview with Woman's Home, a British magazine, or perhaps it was my favourite British publication, The Lady. Have you seen The Lady?
No, but it sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it's haughty bitches galore. And I know you love a haughty bitch.
I really do. Anybody who looks like they might own jodhpurs.
Yeah.
I get wistful.
Well, The Lady magazine is for you then. Wasn't in that magazine, but I had to alert you to The Lady. Anyway, she says, there's no such thing as society. There are just individuals and family. Another great true story about Margaret Thatcher. I just wanted to mention the film about Thatcher starring the execrable ham Meryl Streep, who can't act to save her fucking self. Are you with me?
Well, Meryl Streep is one of these people like Tom Cruise that is always themselves on screen. They have a certain level of presence that it's impossible to watch them and not think of them as themselves rather than the character.
And if her Sophie's Choice Polish accent was as bad as her Australian accent, the dingo took my baby. God, I love bad Australian accents. We should do a collection of them, don't you think?
Oh, bad Australian accents? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of them. I'm also a huge fan of the brief period after the Australian New Wave when films from Australia would get picked up to the United States and then get dubbed
Oh, no!
Yeah. Oh, that's great. There's a whole series of those. The Road Warrior was originally dubbed. Mad Max 2 was originally dubbed. Mad Max was dubbed when it was first released in the United States.
I mean,
The Fire and the Stone.
You got to say, though, sometimes we are a little, maybe a bit hard to understand.
Yeah, exactly. And when you've got Steve Bisley trying to say stuff, I can understand why people couldn't understand him.
Yeah, it probably sounds like extreme Scottish to some people's ears. There's a story about Margaret Thatcher, one of many not covered in the film, that really doesn't cover her true legacy, which is as the architect, the central force of the neoliberal revolution. Now, you know, Pussy hates that. But she made it fucking happen. She was far more instrumental than Reagan in changing the economic policy settings of the West. Do you get any of that from Meryl or the fucking screenwriters of The Iron Lady? Where is the good Margaret Thatcher biopic? She was a fucking monster.
I mean, the tendency is to kind of over-portray the housewifeness and not enough the monsterness, right? And that even happens when she was played by Gillian Anderson in The Crown, I believe. There's just a whole bunch of...
I was just too distracted, though, because, like, how hot was Gillian Anderson as Margaret Thatcher? Fuck me.
Yeah, and so imagine her grabbing Christopher Hitchens on the arse. See, now it's a completely different scene.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I have that unfortunate love for Christopher Hitchens. In fact, you have a dog.
Not as much as he loved himself.
No. You know, I interviewed him, right?
Mm-hmm. Did he say how pretty he used to be when he was young and how he and Martin Amis used to have a thing? Because he spoke about that a lot.
Yeah. No,
how pretty they were when they were young.
He called me a wicked witch. He seemed a little upset that I knew nothing about his atheist turn.
Okay.
Atheism has never been an interest of mine. Mm-hmm. It was a great and profitable interest of his. But he said, "Oh, you women, you're all wicked witches, but especially you, Helen." So that was very special.
That's lovely.
The thing was, I correctly identified just with my woman waters what I thought might be his favourite work of poetry. And that's a poem called On the Circuit by W.H. Auden.
Mm-hmm.
Another morning comes. I see, dwindling below me on the plain, the roofs of one more audience I shall not see again. God bless the lot of them, although I don't remember which was which. God bless the USA, so large, so friendly, and so rich.
One of the great poets of the 20th century, in my view, even though I didn't go to a private school, Winston Hugh Auden, about making all that lovely money from dumb Americans, which is how Christopher Hitchens spent his final days, pissed as a box full of farts, just writing absolute shit for Vanity Fair.
And Slate.
Oh, Slate can fucking buy it. Mm-hmm. It was promising there for about 2 seconds.
It had its moments. And at the moment, I just read it because it is, if you, as I do, like reading advice columns that are demented, it's excellent for that. And it's good. I love it. That's what Slate is now.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a whole bunch of like former trots saying, I used to be a Trotskyist.
No, all of that is gone. It's
if there's one thing more boring than a Trotskyist,
it's a former Trotskyist.
Yeah, actually, one of my best mates is a Trotskyist, and he's not at all boring. Hey, Rick. Anyway, so there's a story about Margaret Thatcher, and she is, of course, about the Chicago School and the Vienna School, these schools of economics that rose in the otherwise great intellectual cornucopia of Vienna before Hitler ruined it with his tanties. There was good cake, good thought, and loads of art and economics.
I have to imagine a huge amount of cigarette smoking in Vienna at that stage.
Yeah, imagine. Do you think Freud allowed it during his sessions? I mean, Freud did die 33, but do you think...
Would have encouraged it, I would have hoped.
Yeah, or Coke. It's my dream. Free association with Sigmund while I'm having a durry and doing a rail.
and freebasing.
Yeah. So there was, oh, God, Bitsy, what's the name of the guy that I like? That he's not like that good, but, he's
She'll get there.
Carl Polanyi.
See?
Carl Polanyi. You've probably read it, The Great Transformation. It's so you, Ross. Might be so you too. Like a real sort of like social democrat. Mm-hmm. He talks about the double movement. It's about the double movement of the economy and the society and the behaviour of the people in it. I think it is a model you would fucking love.
All right, I will put it on my list of things to list to. I'm developing a big list.
Or just read the good quotes. That's what I did.
Just ask for an AI summary.
So he went to school with this guy called Hayek. Hayek didn't rewrite classical economics at all, just said capitalism is great, but hey, not just for the rich, but the poor, essentially. There's a rumour, and again, not going to find out, that he actually came over to advise Paul Keating because he lived quite a long life. No, seriously, he advised...
I'm just... no, that does sound familiar enough for me to not want to look it up and believe that it's true.
Yeah. He then went to Chicago, taught Milton Friedman, Uncle Milty, blah, blah, blah. But the big book with Hayek, look, fuck you if you're not still listening. I think it's interesting. The big book with Hayek is you're getting a really shitty history of 20th century economic thought.
But we don't care if it's true or not.
With swearing. Well, those bits are kind of true. But the book is called The Constitution of Liberty. And a lot of the main stuff in it is responsible for you, yes, you, the shitty parts of your life. Like you can kind of blame Hayek, but especially Margaret Thatcher. It's quite a big book. And she wasn't a big lady. And she was also drunk a lot of the time. When she was deciding that she was going to lead the Tory party, there was a story about her going into the Tory party room with the Constitution of Liberty in her hands, throwing it down on the table and saying, "This is what we believe now."
Or with a bottle of Beefeaters in the other hand.
Oh, fuck. I hope it was... You are spot on with the worst references. I love that. Like, you could look at somebody and tell me what drugs they're on precisely, couldn't you?
It doesn't take me long to work that out or what someone's favourite drink is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a very useful talent.
If I was still a drinker, what's my favourite drink?
Oh, good God, that's a really challenging one. You're definitely not a wine drinker. You're after something that's going to be a little bit more rapid, but probably fruity. I would suspect that you would like to think that you would like an old fashioned, but you'd probably go for something like a Negroni.
Fuck you in the face. I always ordered old fashions, and of course with rye whiskey.
That's the only way to have them. And no cherry, of course.
And
the cherry on top is and you don't have them muddled.
And I never really enjoyed them that much.
No.
What I did enjoy more than anything,
the ritual of watching somebody make one is the thing.
Yeah. What I did enjoy more than anything, though, was a shandy.
I remember you drinking shandies. Again, that's not the shandy's a sensible person's drink. I used to love drinking old fashions. Yeah, I used to love drinking old fashions, and I treated the process, in fact, all of the ingredients pretty much as a strict mystery, right? And I never learned how to do it. I would.
I know how to do it.
Look away. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't want to know that because I like them too much. I was like, if I know how to do that, this is going to be a huge problem in the house. So I didn't. But yeah, geez, what a drink. The original cocktail. Do
you ever miss like having a durry and a nice strong drink? And when can we take it up again? 80?
Booze, I think. Booze, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not going to kill us now. Whatever is going to kill us has already been set. So I think we'd be fine with that. I did speak to somebody just yesterday.
Do it now. I can't do it now. I got to like hold on to these last filaments of hotness for high school boyfriend, and as do you. Because he's very judgmental.
I did speak to somebody yesterday. One of my former colleagues had just spent a week in Rome, independently of the Pope dying. He had already booked himself a holiday there and just managed to turn up the week of all that taking place.
Awesome for him.
And also on arriving, found out, in comparison to Australia and New Zealand, how incredibly cheap cigarettes were. So decided to take up smoking for a week and loved it. It was just fantastic. Just got to smoke for a week and they cost almost no money. And now I've definitely had enough of smoking, but geez, that was awesome for a week.
You're listening to Vanity Project, and you should email me, please, because if you're also having these thoughts, Ross and I are now quite abstemious and we eat right and exercise. None of this is a pleasure. I just sometimes wonder, at what age am I going to really have proper fun? Get fucking crystal MD and just fucking cram it in my face and have a lap dance at the same time. Oh, I have a story about that. I'll tell you next week here on Vanity Project. But I mean, do you have a plan to resume being bad?
No, but I think there will come a time when it just finds me again.
Yeah.
I don't think this is something you can run away from forever.
No, God, no.
But I think that it's something that you can run away from and then just let it ravage you for a little while and then just get back onto the straight and narrow. But, when I speak to my brain mechanic about that, he doesn't think that's such a great idea.
Yeah, I made the same mistake,
Yeah, so now you got to lie to him, right? Now you got to tell him lies.
I said, mate, when do you think I can have one of them Eckies again? And, he talked me round to never. Fuck you, Warwick. Fuck you. You are listening to Vanity Project. Oh, yeah, it's time for cultural review. Hit it, bitches!
Shit. All of these new things are shit. Shit show in Egypt, know it. Their taste's impeccable. Always believe them.
First things first, Rossi.
First things first.
John Hamm's on the telly.
The Hammaconda.
First came to the broad public attention in Mad Men. You and I had a serious 3-week conversation about the finale. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. And in broad terms, his character is based on a guy called George Loy. George Loy. See, now you're in my fucking wheelhouse.
Yeah.
George Loy was an art director in advertising in Madison Avenue. He eventually ended up being probably the best art director of Esquire, responsible for all of those great covers.
Somebody might have been an art director before he went all exec, and that's someone's Ross Float here on Vanity Project. I never had a proper job like that.
Yeah, don't recommend them. They're pretty boring. But so, John Hamm, you were saying?
Fuck off. Being an art director must be awesome. No. Continue, please. I actually don't know this shit.
He was based on George Loy.
Did he in fact do I'd like to buy the world a Coke ad?
No, he didn't. But that was...
Oh my God, we've got to do a whole episode about the final episode of Mad Men because I thought foolishly that it was critical of capitalism. But Matt Weiner, the showrunner, apparently no such thing. Who knows? Artists don't know the good shit they're doing a lot of the time, I reckon.
No, but once they let it out into the world, it's not theirs anymore.
Yeah, so fuck you, Matt. But thanks for the show. When John Hamm came to the broad public attention as Don Draper, or as he was also known, what was his other name? Dick.
Oh, yeah, Dick. Geez, that will come back to me at some point.
Yeah, well. We're old.
Dick.
Yeah.
But Dick. Yep.
Dick, who grew up in a whole house.
He did.
That's why he had problems with women. Anyway.
But obviously you have been watching Our Friends and Neighbours then.
No, not really. Just wanted to tell you it was on the telly. Yeah, look, it seems all right. It's just like a very, very soft core Breaking Bad.
It is a very soft-core Breaking Bad. He gets he's
you've seen some of it?
Oh yeah, I've watched it all. I love the Hammaconda. I'll watch him do anything.
He's a handsome pussycat, isn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's lovely. He's just lovely to watch. I don't want to jump on his cock or anything like that, but it's just like he's just lovely to watch.
The opening monologue, well, it's not really a monologue. It's there's a dialogue, but he's mostly talking to the woman who approaches him at the bar. Is outstanding. It's very much the I'm rich and I have a lot of money and this is a terrible idea. You think this, I think this, it'll go badly. And she's like, look, I was just trying to get laid, dude. And he was like, okay, then off we pop.
And she was a little sort and a fucking half, wasn't she? She
Look,
might.
I don't objectify women like that. I objectify John Hamm like that.
Well,
I'll
she's
talk about John Hamm's rig.
She's my type anyway.
Your type?
Yeah, not yours probably. She's a bit
John
too
Hamm?
obviously whorish for your taste. You like the Grace Kelly. I'm impermeable, but secretly I go off like
a stealth strumpet.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you like, right?
Yes.
Well, I love a slut.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there's a lot to love.
Yeah, the junkie whore look. I aim for it myself, and I think I sometimes succeed.
But in Our Friends and Neighbours, you see more of John Hamm without his shirt on than you would anticipate from a man in Hollywood these days, looking a bit doughy.
Yeah.
Right? He looks great in clothes, and got to be honest with you, he looks better than almost every single person that I know shirtless. But he hasn't gone to I'm going to be on TV, so I'm going to spend like 6 months eating nothing but broccoli and chicken giblets and doing like 400 reps of everything.
Excuse me as I play with my phone, but you've got to see a picture of high school boyfriend shirtless.
Must I?
No, you don't have to. But he's so hot, and I'm not making this up. I can show you the screenshot. He's so hot that ChatGPT or GTP or whatever it's called refused because it violated their content policies. So John Hamm, it's worth it, right? It's worth it, that show.
Yeah. There's some very, very good moments in it. It's a fun show. I don't feel like I've wasted my time after having watched it.
No,
and unlike a lot of television.
We may not have mentioned John Hamm is in it, and he takes his shirt off a lot.
And Olivia Munn is in it.
I love her.
And either Amanda Peet or Lake Bell, but I think that they're still the same person.
Olivia Munn, who's now married to John Mulaney.
That's right.
Who's no longer taking drugs and is sadly not funny anymore. I hate it when that happens here on Vanity Project, just like me and Ross.
And boop.
I just got a recording failed.
That's odd. And it's such a natural ending point too. Guess they'll just have to pick it up next week.